Hello, everyone. Skip Montreux here. You are about to listen to a sample of a Down to Business English members-only episode. This episode is part 2 of our two-part series on OPEC, the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries. In part 1, Dez Morgan and I examined the origins and purpose of OPEC. In today's episode, we discuss its history and current status in the energy industry. Our goal at Down to Business English is to help you learn and retain business English by reporting on current business news stories and teaching useful words, phrases, and expressions that are related to those headlines. In order for us to produce this type of authentic English learning material that you just won't find in a business English classroom or textbook, we rely on the support of listeners like you. If you find Down to Business English useful in your English studies, if you find the topics and the business stories that we report on educational and interesting, if the words and phrases we explain in the Down to Vocabulary portion of the show are helping you with your business English, well, support what we do by becoming a D2B member today. Just go to d2benglish.com/membership to sign up. That's D, the number 2, B, English.com/membership. Now, sit back, relax, and enjoy this sample of a D2B members-only episode.
From Tokyo, Japan, and Changsha, China, this is Down to Business English with your hosts, Skip Montreux and Dez Morgan.
Here's a quote for you, Dez. Let's see if you know who said it. OPEC is not a 4-letter word. It's a 6-letter word.
OPEC is not a 4-letter word, it's a 6-letter word. Not only do I have no idea who said that, I'm not even sure what it means.
Okay, well, that is a quote from Rex Tillerson, former U.S. Secretary of State and former CEO of ExxonMobil.
And what exactly does it mean?
Well, 4-letter words are pretty strong words. Although they are not considered to be polite, they do carry a lot of power when you use them.
True, but as this is a professional business podcast, we don't give any examples of common 4-letter words.
No, we don't. Anyway, so when Tillerson was saying OPEC is not a 4-letter word, it's a 6-letter word, he was emphasizing the organization's power or influence.
Ah, now I get it. Well, that is quite a statement coming from a man who led ExxonMobil, the world's second largest oil company, for 10 years?
Yes, it is.
And it's a good lead into part 2 of our 2-part series on OPEC, the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries.
That is exactly why I brought it up. In part 1, D2B 332, OPEC Explained, we reported on the impetus for establishing OPEC, its mandate, and how the organization operates.
We also reported on how today's OPEC Plus consists of 12 core members and 10 non-OPEC members who cooperate with the organization,
making it even more influential.
So if you haven't already listened to part 1, do go back and check out that episode.
Today, in part 2 of our report on OPEC, we are going to look at some key moments in OPEC's 6-decade history, as well as the influence it has on the world oil markets today.
Sounds good.
So let's do it. Let's get D2B with this members-only episode of Down to Business English. OPEC Explained Part 2, History and Present-Day Status. Just to recap, OPEC was founded in 1960 by a group of 5, mostly Middle Eastern countries: Saudi Arabia, Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, and Venezuela.
With Venezuela being the one country not located in the Middle East.
OPEC's mandate was to coordinate the petroleum production policies of member countries, secure a stable and fair price for oil globally, and to ensure a steady supply of oil for the world market.
I don't think that's always been the case, at least for the last of those points, making sure there is enough oil on the market.
And what makes you say that, Des?
Well, I am old enough to remember what happened in the 1970s.
Ah, yes. You are referring to OPEC's 1973 oil embargo.
I am. That event had a significant impact on the world's economies.
It did. In November of 1973, OPEC, particularly the Arab states, imposed an oil embargo on the U.S., as well as other industrialized nations who had supported Israel in the Yom Kippur War, which had taken place the month before.
Also known as the October War or the Ramadan War, or more simply, the 1973 Arab-Israeli War.
Depending on your perspective, it had many different names.
When you say that this embargo was imposed particularly by Arab states, does that mean that not all OPEC members took part in the embargo?
That's correct. Venezuela did not take part, and neither did Iran.
Well, that does not surprise me. Neither country is an Arab state, and in 1973, unlike today, Iran was a close ally of the US. Had any other Arab countries joined OPEC by 73?
Yes, as a matter of fact, Qatar joined in 1961, Libya in 62, and the United Arab Emirates in 1967. But to be clear, in addition to Venezuela and Iran, Libya and Iraq did not take part in the embargo either.
But even without those 4 countries, the embargo had some teeth.
Oh, it certainly did. Now, the main purpose was to change the U.S.'s policy towards Israel. Although they did not accomplish this directly, the embargo did lead to some concessions from the U.S. on their foreign policy. But the big consequence of the embargo was that oil prices quadrupled, from $3 a barrel to $12.
Which led to a lengthy recession along with high inflation in the United States.
Well, it wasn't just oil prices that caused the recession, but they sure didn't help.
The 70s were a very economically challenging time, and OPEC was certainly in the driver's seat in terms of using oil.
I hope you enjoyed that sample of a D2B members-only episode. Thank you very much for listening. To listen to the full episode and to support D2B, just go to d2benglish.com/membership and become a D2B member today. One more time, that's D, the number 2, B, English.com/membership. On behalf of Des, Samantha, and myself, we thank you for your support.
Down to Business English. Business news to improve your business English.